Another year, another video. It's 2025. Welcome to Kasa Nomads. So we're in Kasa Nomads. This particular property is a 2-bed, 2.5 bath, right in the heart of Lekki Phase 1. The property has different facilities. We have a pool, we have a gym. This particular unit is sitting on the 4th floor, and of course there's an elevator for you that works. If anybody asks me, who is this property suited for? I think this property is perfectly suited for a girl's night in. For example, you and your girlfriend want somewhere to just chill and have a good time. This is the perfect space for you. You have a couple with kids, maybe like 1 or 2 kids, wanting to come to the island to just be away from home and just be refreshed and relaxed. Property is perfect for you. It has a gym, like I mentioned earlier. So if you're a fitness buff, you're in the right place. If you can swim perfectly, and even if you cannot swim, there is a pool for you as well. So we have clean running water. We have 24/7 power. We have great internet connection, fully equipped kitchen. One thing our guests usually love about our home is our beds. Our beds are extremely comfortable. Our master bedroom has a 6x6 bed, while our guest bedroom has a 5x6 bed. So we're in 2025 and you're probably thinking, how do I start a short-term rental business? I will be reacting to our 2021 video to see if what we had recommended 4 years ago is still obtainable as at today. Yes, Tommy.
Someone is looking to start a short-term rental.
Okay.
Which would we advise rather? Rent or buy?
Rent or buy? That's a tricky one. So rent, because I mean, you don't have to put down a lot of money. So with like 2.5 to 3.5 million, you can rent something really, really good in a good area and still make good profit. But buy, I mean, the property is yours, you know, and then if, for example, something happens with the short-term rental market, hopefully it doesn't, then you can always repurpose your property to something else. So you can have like long stay rental people. Okay, so I'll stop right there.
So what do you think now? Rent or buy?
Buy. Buy, because I feel like the overhead costs of the operational cost of running a short-term rental business as at today, it almost doesn't make sense for you to rent. In the old video, we had mentioned that renting a property will cost you 2.5 to 3.5 million for a good property. Speaking of this property that we're in at the moment, it's a 2-bed, 2.5 bath, like I mentioned. I did some research to see what the rental cost was as at today. It's anything between 10 to 15 million per year. And don't forget, you're going to be paying service charge, you're paying agency. I know those are one of, like the agency and legal is a one-off payment, but you have to factor that into your cost, right? You're going to be paying a service charge, you're going to be paying for power, you're going to be paying, it is a lot. This home, on an average month where we are at maximum occupancy, our expenses can go as high as 1.5 to 2 million per month. So do the math. Is it really worth renting? I personally don't think so. I would say buy. Even though buying is steep, but at the end of the day, the property is still yours. The value of this property as at today is anything between 200 to 250 million. However, the property is yours. And don't forget, when we purchased this property, it was 45 to 50 million 4 years ago. So it has gone up by at least 400%. So imagine if you decide, okay, you know what? I don't want to do a short-term rental anymore. I want to sell off my property. You're still going to be making good money. So I would say buy.
So now that I know the amount of money to look out for,
okay.
So where do you suggest I get property?
I would say, so do you want me to give you like my top 3 locations?
Perfect.
So I would say, so my top 3 is still my top 3. Forever and ever, it hasn't changed. Because I mean, the dynamics of Lagos is still the same. My top 3 locations have always been Lekki Phase 1, Ikoyi, and VI, and it still remains the same. I would add Ikate to the mix because Ikate is really, really opening up. But you need to also be very careful about Ikate because we had a property in Ikate and during the rainy season, our guests couldn't get out of the houses. It was crazy, it was insane. So you have to be particular about the area in Ikate where the property is situated. But Lekki Phase 1 for me would always be my number one. Reason is very simple. Lekki Phase 1 is the sweet spot. It has everything you can think about. This property that we're staying in right now, you can literally walk to at least 5 different supermarkets. If you don't want to take an Uber, you can walk there. You can walk to 20 different restaurants, from local cuisines to healthy meals to intercontinental dishes, hospitals everywhere around here, pharmacies. So it is perfect. It is the perfect location for a traveler that is coming into Lagos for the first time, and really you're confused because Lagos can be very chaotic. So you're confused as to where to stay. You don't know anybody. If you stay in Lekki Phase 1, you really don't need to know anybody to navigate your way around. And Ikoyi and VI. So VI is very commercial in terms of, it's more of offices and office buildings that are in those kind of places. So you might not, yes, there's supermarkets few and far between, but it's not as easily navigable as a Lekki Phase 1. Ikoyi is just strictly residential. You literally need a car to go almost everywhere, but people still love Ikoyi. The experts love Ikoyi, so Ikoyi is perfect. It's great for that market, but for your everyday booking, somebody's coming from the mainland to the island, someone is coming from out of Nigeria, not out of Nigeria, somebody's coming from Abuja to Lagos, Port Harcourt to Lagos, Ibadan to Lagos, Lekki Phase 1 is where it is at. So like I said, my top 3 still remain my top 3. I would add Ikate and maybe Osaka into the mix, but for occupancy rates as high as 80 to 85%, I don't know anywhere else that does it like Lekki.
So are you saying the mainland is a no?
I didn't say the mainland is a no. I know people do good numbers in Ikeja. I am not just familiar with what the numbers are in Ikeja. So maybe you can speak to somebody that has a home in Ikeja, but I know that people do good numbers in Ikeja. So if you're going to do the mainland, I think Ikeja will be a great place for you to start.
So how much is, the average price for a property in Lekki Phase 1? Let's just use Lekki Phase 1.
We recently just closed a deal on a property in Lekki, right in the heart of Lekki Phase 1, and it cost about 45 million to buy a 2-bedroom, and there was 40 million for the 1-bedroom. All right, so obviously we all know that that information is definitely dated. 40 to 45 million, nah. Okay, so I will speak to this property that we're in at the moment, a 2-bed, 2.5 bath in the heart of Lekki Phase 1. The facilities are a pool, a gym, a lift, adequate parking, 24/7 power. Should set you back anything between 200 to 250 million nairas. Yeah, that's the Nigeria we live in. I'm sorry.
Now, so which would you recommend? A 1-bed or a 2-bed?
I would recommend, honestly, I'm sure everybody expecting to say 2-bed, but honestly, I would recommend a 1-bed. A 1-bed. My answer still remains the same, and we are living proof that a 1-bed does better than a 2-bed. We have 4 2-beds and 1 1-bed. And I can tell you that sometimes we have to give our 2-bed away as a 1-bed. Our 1-bed is in such high demand that we do on the average 90 to 95% occupancy. Like, we call that home our star boy. The home does not breathe. Like, it is so ridiculous. But I understand why. Because when you think about it, when there is a building, right, and there are multiple units, so 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, you notice that the 1 bedrooms go faster than every other one. I don't know if it's a situation of if they're not just enough or it's just in high demand. That's what people want, so, and then we also have to consider what our clientele or what the demographic of the people that are booking our homes are. You would usually find a couple or a couple with a child or 1 person. Most people book 1 bedrooms, or most people are looking to book 1 bedrooms than 2 or 3 or 4 bedrooms, because 2 or 3 or 4 bedrooms are usually for larger groups. And how many times do you get those large groups in a year? So if I advise you, if you're trying to come into this business, start off with multiple 1-bedroom units in the same building. So it can also act as a group booking as well as individual bookings.
So what do you recommend now? Are you still with a 1-bed?
Of course, a 1-bed. Like I said, our 1-bed does 90 to 95% occupancy all year round. that's enough. That's enough for me to forever and ever recommend a one bed. If I had this foresight, I probably would have gotten 8 one beds as opposed to 4 two beds and 1 one bed.
So should you get a fully serviced home or pay your own bills?
It's actually a very tough one because I know in the former video I was saying that, oh, you need to be sure that your facility management knows exactly what they're doing. But is there any facility management in Lagos at the moment that knows what they're doing? If I'm being honest, I'm in between, you know. We've had good times with our facility managers. We've had terrible times with our facility managers, but I don't know if the terrible times are enough for me to say I want to manage my property by myself. If, for example, I owned the entire 20 units in a building. So yes, of course, I will directly manage the facilities. It might be outsourced or whatever, but it's being managed by me. So if I'm going to compare getting a standalone building to getting an apartment in an already existing building, I think I would go for the apartment in an already existing building. But if I had the building to myself, then obviously I will manage the facilities by myself because nobody can better manage facilities than you yourself. So like I said, we've had our fair share of madness in this facility management game. So I'm somewhere in between. I would say it really depends on what my property is and what I am trying to achieve.
What's that amenity you recommend? Like, it's a must-have for you.
Okay, I know everybody will think I'll say a gym because fit fam, but I'll say a pool.
So what's your take now?
My take is definitely still a pool. That's my number one forever and ever. And I know I said a gym in the last video, but I'll probably say fast Wi-Fi because everybody is working from home. Everybody's literally on the internet. Everybody, like, fast Wi-Fi is such a plus if you have that in your home. I remember a couple of months ago, we were having issues with our Wi-Fi and we literally had to get modems because our guests were so frustrated. I mean, they understood, you know, we're in Nigeria, we have downtime and things like that. But if you have a system already, you need to get like a backup and a backup to your backup. If not, people are going to check out of your home because Wi-Fi is a must. So I would say fast, reliable Wi-Fi and a pool, literally at par. Then maybe a gym somewhere down there, but fast, reliable Wi-Fi and a swimming pool, they're at par at this point. Yes, the pool. So should you host yourself or should you outsource to like a property management company like us? If I was going to be biased, I'd be like, hire me, you know, I will manage your property like it's my baby. But honestly, let me put it this way. If you like sleep and you don't like to be bothered, outsource. If you don't like sleep and you really don't have anything to do, host yourself. Obviously, we've moved on from that. We don't manage properties for people anymore. But I know that there are definitely some management companies out there. And if, like I keep saying, if you have one apartment, you really don't have time, I would actually still advise you to outsource. But you also need to bear in mind that things are not the same anymore in terms of your expenses. Do you have that extra? And these days, host companies charge you as high as 25 to 30% off your gross. Do you have that extra to pay a hosting company? Probably not, given the amount of expenses that you are going to use to run your short-term rental as at 2025. I would say if you have multiple homes and you don't have the time, you can definitely do a hosting company. If you have one home, just close your eyes, learn on the job, and host by yourself. So this is what it takes just on the surface to start off your Airbnb in 2025. It's so different, but yet similar. So don't forget to automate your processes. I still stand on that hill. It's very, very important. Don't forget to make sure your location of your Airbnb is prime. That is still extremely important. Don't forget that your building must have the facilities that your clientele needs: a pool, a gym, elevator if you're an apartment that is above 3 floors, adequate parking, smart TVs, great Wi-Fi. Those are very, 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 very essential. Do not compromise on things like that, and let's get you booked in 2025. Bye.